Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. So I had a subscriber ask me yesterday, how do I feel about 19-year-olds taking SARMs? And I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my opinion on this. And the thing is, people oftentimes ask me things like this, particularly teenagers. They come and they ask you questions, hey, what do you think about this? Because they already have what they want to do in their head. They've made up their mind and they want you to validate their choice. And then when you give them the answer they don't want, they don't like it. So I'm going to give you guys my answer on this. And you need to remember, don't ask me if you don't want my opinion. If you decide that you're going to go do something, then don't come ask me to validate your behavior. Because the truth is, I think at 19 years old, unless it has been prescribed to you by a doctor, you have no business putting anything in your body that alters your hormones other than like vitamin D3. Okay, that's about it. You shouldn't be taking anything that messes with your hormone levels. And let's be realistic here. SARMs are not perfect yet. The medical technology behind it is improving. SARMs have improved dramatically. They're a lot better than they used to be. They are better in certain ways than anabolics. The technology is moving forward, but it's not perfect yet. And they still suppress your normal hormone production. There's HTPA suppression from SARMs still. And at 19 years old, pretty much anything under about 21 up to about 23, your endocrine system and your reproductive system are still developing. And when you start putting substances into your body that alter this, you're taking a risk. You're taking a gamble. You are taking a risk of health issues as a result of this that are larger than someone who's 25 or 30 years old. You're taking the very real risk of permanently causing problems with your endocrine system. So no, I'm not going to recommend this at all. I mean, the same thing I say about people taking anabolics. I'm not anti-anabolic. I'm anti-abuse. And I think, be it 18 or 19 years old, using an anabolic is abuse at any dose at that age, unless it's prescribed to you for a medical purpose. It just is, because again, the risk that you are taking. And a lot of people will say things like, well, what about people trying to get a football scholarship? What about athletes who need this stuff their careers could have been on? What about someone who wants to be a pro bodybuilder? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. As far as this goes, if you can't get a scholarship to a D1 school as an athlete, I don't care whether it's football, baseball, basketball, if you can't earn a full ride, full paid athletic scholarship, completely clean, to a D1 school, you are not going to go pro in your sport. You are never going to make a living at your sport. We are not all born equal in terms of genetic ability and gifts. And someone who doesn't have the innate gifts and talents to earn a full ride to a D1 school in their sport, completely clean, completely drug-free, they're not going to make it. They are not pro material. They just aren't. And you have to accept that fact. In fact, what you find, the guys even for NFL who get recruited from the NFL, the guys who are going to make it and get the big contracts are usually the guys who don't take anything until they're preparing for the combine. Meaning they make it all the way through 3 to 4 years of college completely clean. That's the guys who have the ability to go pro. That's the guys who have the ability to go pro. And the guys who have to flip that card in the middle of university, their first or second year, they're probably going to be a very low-tier pro. Now, there's a lot of money being a low-tier pro NFL player, but you get the idea. If they have to have the drugs, whether it's steroids or a SARM, to make it at that level, they don't have the talent to be in the top 50% professionally. They just don't. That's the real world, guys. And I understand that sports are dominated by this stuff, but that's reality. And then we kind of come back to the question of, well, what about if they want to be a bodybuilder? I don't recommend that you become a bodybuilder. I'm not pro bodybuilding. I think competitive bodybuilding is an extremely dangerous and health destroying endeavor. And, I've said things about some of this, and people like Jerry Ward said, oh, how can Blaha say this? He's going to discourage someone who might have had the potential to be the greatest bodybuilder of all time. So what? Who cares? Would you rather live and be healthy and have a good life, or get caught up in pro bodybuilding? Because let's be realistic here. Guys who are having to take stuff that young, look at the results. Dallas McCarver, 21 years old, he turned pro, youngest IFBB pro of all time. Where is he now? Died at age 26 earlier last year. The amount of drug abuse it took for him to work his way through the pro ranks, enough to make a living at it. You got to remember, most pro bodybuilders can't earn a living at what they do. They're not professionals. They have a pro card, but that's a name only. You're not a professional at anything you do. If you can't pay your rent and your car note and your grocery bill off of something, you are not a professional. All right? You're an amateur. I don't care whether you got a pro card or not. If it doesn't pay the bills, you're not a professional. You have another job. That's how far he had to go to actually earn a decent living doing it. So yeah, he obviously was using stuff before age 21. And look at the amount he had to use to be competitive as a pro bodybuilder. It killed him. He's dead. He is dead. He probably started in his teens and he didn't survive a full 10 years. So what are we talking about here? That's the reality of it. Why in the world would you want to be a pro bodybuilder? And I'm going to be honest with you guys. When it comes to stuff like this, at 19 years old, you don't know what you want in life. You can stand there and say that you do, and a lot of guys, I've said stuff like that before, and you'll have these kids who come in and say, I do too, I know exactly what I want to do with my life. I have my whole future planned ahead. All right, if you say so. 10, 15 years down the road, though, you're going to feel really stupid when you've made that statement and you think you have it all figured out, and then you don't. I mean, if you step back and look, there's a number of people who became medical doctors who don't even practice medicine anymore in their 30s. There are plenty of them out there. Let that sink in for a moment. People who ran up a 6-figure college debt, who don't even stay in the profession they went to graduate school for. You know how common that is? You know how many people change their majors at university? The majority. Very, very, very few people have their life figured out at 19 years old. And when we start talking about doing stuff just to gain a little more muscle that could permanently affect your endocrine system because you think you know what you want out of life, trust me guys, you don't. You don't know what you want out of life. I've been on this world a long enough time to watch this happen over and over. You don't know what you really want. You don't know if you want a family or not. Well, maybe you do. Maybe a lot of people know they want a family. You don't know these things. And so when we start taking this level of risk at that young of an age, things that could permanently shut you down, things that permanently shut down your sperm count, all sorts of other problems require you to be on TRT for life, because that's the gamble you're taking with that. Even with a SARM at that age, you're taking that risk. I'm going to recommend that you don't do it. That's my recommendation. Even if it's legal where you live. We're talking about, again, what are you going to gain 10 more pounds of muscle out of it? Most guys at 19 haven't been training long enough to build a base. You have a long way that you could still go totally clean. Put in the work. Don't be lazy about it. Put in the work. You know what? Train 3, 4, 5 years straight on proven programs. Get your squat above 400 pounds. Get your deadlift above 500 pounds. And yeah, that's totally doable. Natty. For people who aren't even powerlifters. That's not powerlifting, by the way, guys. That's just a basic strength program. Build a base. Build a base. Get a little more mature. Figure out what you want out of life. Then start worrying about stuff like that. Pay your dues, put in your time. You know what? If you do that, it's going to make you feel better about the whole thing further down the road. It's going to feel a lot better for you. You're going to feel a lot more self-esteem in the amount of work that you put in. Build your base clean. Then figure out later if it's the right thing for you or not. You'll be better off for it. Trust me on this. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.